going up. I'm seeing the market getting fearful over a narrative. And I'm like, well, what is the likely outcome here? Are they going to have 150%, a trillion percent tariffs on China? No, they're going to reach something normal. So you've gone from peak headline fear to things could only be better from here. So for me, it was like a no-brainer of an opportunity, both in tech stocks and in crypto. And so going forwards now, normally speaking, this is the period, my framework is about, them rolling the debt and having to provide liquidity to do so. And so what we've got is a lot of forward-looking liquidity coming out of whether it's the weakness of the dollar, whether it's other countries using their balance sheets, a number of different mechanisms. And all of that to me is suggesting that the rest of this year is going to be very strong. And I was kind of thinking the NASDAQ was going to be a V-shaped recovery. And my God, it was a V-shaped recovery. And people are still underweight and short. I mean, it's like, it's a hell of a setup.
That's the one thing that you recognize, right, Raoul, with a lot of years of experience, is that now everybody's got to buy the U.S. equity market back, and they haven't, right?
Retail got it. Retail got it.
Exactly. We are back.
Just pulls the capital in the world. We're hearing it out of Saudi, out of Abu Dhabi, out of Qatar, and out of Bahrain. And why that's happening is because the US has become crypto friendly. It's the green light. So the US will get some regulation through. There'll be a bit of a shit show and debating about it and the usual stuff, but they will get some regulation through, which is the clarity that all of the pension funds need. So they're waiting as well. So there is a lot of buying to come from the really big players who've been waiting. Like Goldman has not been able to fully build out its desk, and JP Morgan haven't. They've had crypto for a while, but only for certain types of customers. But they want to build out suites of product, but they've been waiting for regulatory clarity. So yeah, I think it's a big deal, actually. I really do. So
the reason I agree, Raoul, to jump in here, because you addressed something.
Because there's so many new participants in the industry, they think it's all new and different. When you've been around as long as you and I, you realize nothing is different. We've gone through all of this before. This just happens to be a bigger, faster moving asset, but it's the same as GSCI was. It's the same as the gold ETF was. It's the same as the NASDAQ was when we didn't understand what the fuck it was and why it went up all the time. It's all of these things combined, right?
Totally brilliant, Raoul. Totally brilliant. I have a question for you. Let's talk about the other stores of value that seem to be, gold has been an unbelievable performer this year. GDX, the gold miners, are the number one performing sector of the stock market, for fuck's sakes, which is like an anomaly. We just traded a high of 3,500, and now we've got a double top around there. What do you think about gold here, Raoul?
So I came up with something, it was only last month in Global Macro Investor, that kind of shocked me, hadn't figured out, is that there is a set of dominoes that happen in markets. Financial conditions lead everything. For financial conditions, we use the dollar, rates, and oil, right? The three big. I used to be really good at bonds.
You were the best in the market, period.
I'm fucking atrocious at them now. I don't understand bonds anymore, because they're not working according to the business cycle. They're not working according to the oil price. They're not working according to inflation. And it's not like all of the auctions are failing. So it's not like it's a lack of buyers. So I don't really understand what is going on. It feels to me that liquidity is not in the bond market, and they need to do this SLR thing, which is basically allowing the primary dealers to warehouse more bonds.
Right.
So it needs, I think it's a liquidity issue, a plumbing issue, because, I mean, they should be much lower. Look at inflation, came out this morning, 2.3%.
Exactly.
Yet 2-year yields are like almost 4%. It's like, this is stupid.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad, because I'm not the only confused bond trader in the room, and I can call you, you are a dyed in the cast trader when you go from being like
that everybody fears of rates spiking up to 6% because everybody's dumping bonds. It's never going to happen.
Such a great point, Raoul. And how comforting is it to you to have a guy that lived his career at the Quantum Fund in charge of the treasury rather than a lifetime academic. Can you just riff on that for a moment?
So I've known Scott for 20 years,
Have
maybe
you?
longer.
Brilliant.
So I remember going to see him at Soros in London when I was at Goldman. So I've
Mhm.
known him since, I guess, 1996, 7, whatever it was.
Wow.
He was a Global Macro Investors subscriber for a long time. He came to my house in Spain.
Very
So
cool.
I've known him for a long time. I've not been in touch with him for a few years now. Last time I saw him was at Carl Bass's wedding. But Scott knows his shit. I don't think he was the world's best fund manager, but he knows how the world works.
Yeah.
He knows what levers you have to pull. He understands markets. He understands what.
Yeah.
So he will come back and sort that one out, I think.
I literally told my subscribers, Raoul, that you should write a note, a post-it, and put it on your computer and say, but Trump wants lower dollar, lower rates, lower oil. You know what I mean? That was just me like trying to not allow myself to get long oil or to fade. You know what I mean? Like, just don't fade those trades. If this is what they want, they are in power now and they're going to get it. So come hell or high water, we're almost there.
That's why a lot of people don't understand Trump. Trump generally says what he means.
Yeah.
And then covers it with a bunch of bullshit. But he tells you what he's trying to do, which is like, I'm going to bring the Chinese to the negotiating table and we will get some decent tariffs. Then you get all the Trump bullshit, which is like a gazillion percent and we're going to do this. But he's told you what he's going to do. And people always ignore it because of all of the stuff that goes around it. But he usually tells you pretty clearly what it is.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that it was, I think that he was making an attempt to get all of the bad out.
You kind of know how to run their risk.
Yeah.
But it's so I'm always nervous of seeing leverage build up in a 70 vol asset. That is my rule of thumb is leverage in a 70 vol asset is going to nuke everybody at some point. Simple rule of thumb. Yep.
That's for sure. That's a good way of looking at it. Okay. I love that you said you don't really know because he is an enigma out there, man. And we're going to I hope I live to find out the outcome of this trade. I really
he's either going to end up hilariously wealthy and the greatest trade of all time or not, or somewhere in the middle where it feels like it's going to go horribly wrong and he gets through the other side. I don't know, but it's fun to watch. What a time to be alive.
It sure is, man. It sure is. And I'm in the cheap seat spectating. I don't know.
I mean, it's like the Hunt brothers.
Yeah.
I mean, he's cornering a market in an asset.
Yeah. You got to respect it because he's got the biggest balls you've ever seen. And then you've also got there's a level of your brain that fades it because he's got the biggest balls you've ever seen. So it's one of those, man. We'll see. Like I said, I hope
poorhouse because everyone thinks gold miners, they do that trade. And then it always goes wrong.
Same thing. How about all the people piggybacking silver, being long silver because gold's going up, so therefore silver has to. And I'm over here arguing silver's a base metal now, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, if you think gold's going up, just buy gold. But everybody wants to sound smart.
Right. Central banks are buying gold. We want to be in front of them. Let's buy the fucking metal. Anyway. All right, Raoul, look, man, we've covered so much of the macro world, and this has been a great, fast-moving conversation. I want to take us off markets for the close, right? And just do a couple of minutes with you and help our listeners get to know you. Jared and I have put in 46 weeks in a row of the Macro Dirt podcast. And we're so honored that you're able to come on and share our voice with your audience and have some overlap there.
47 fucking episodes to invite me.
I know, right? That I'm embarrassed about. That I'm upset about. But you have got a tough schedule too, Raoul. We've tried along the way, but that's fine. But I want to let our audience get to know you a little bit. I've known you for a long time. I was one of the earliest.
Probably after a couple of drinks, tell people about a highlight of mine was I've driven twice in a rally in a Toyota Hilux and a Toyota Land Cruiser from Budapest in Hungary when it was in Celsius, it was minus 18 Celsius, whatever that is, like -5 or something Fahrenheit, and drove 9,500 kilometers down to Mali in Central Africa. And when I arrived, it was 47 degrees Celsius, which is 115 degrees, in 2 weeks, crossing the Sahara Desert, crossing the Atlas Mountains, the Rift Mountains, the Alps. I went from Hungary to Slovenia to Italy to France to Spain, to Morocco, to Western Sahara, birthday, the entry ticket, which, I thought that was very nice and generous of him, but it cost a fucking fortune to desert prepare these cars. But you can actually sell the cars for a profit in Mali because they're so valuable to have, these Land Cruisers and Hiluxes. So yeah, but it was a lot of fun. It was a professional operation, but they stopped doing it because it was so dangerous. We had to have a military convoy through Mauritania because of the not ISIS, the Al Qaeda in the Maghreb was so dangerous there. In the end, they closed off Mali, Mauritania, and they had to stop doing the rally.
Dear God, man, that is some story. That's some highlight. I agree. Good call, Raoul. I'm glad you told us that story. Last one. What do you find hilarious?
What I find hilarious, there's a lot of things I find hilarious, but the thing that makes me laugh most days is going onto X and just seeing
like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and enabling post notifications for more content on crypto and digital assets. Check out our other videos and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps with the YouTube algorithm and keeps the content coming. Thanks for your support. Enjoy the video.